What's up, everybody? Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on Space Engineers Programming 101. When we left off in the last episode, we had been working on just rounding off our OS script by adding all the functionality in to the script that we wanted. Now, there are a few things that are missing in the I think the inventory, other than formatting the string, I think the inventory is set up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the inventory's done. Refinery status works fine. Enable, disable works fine. Show all works fine. So refinery's pretty much done. Unless we decide that there's something else that we want to add to it, which that could be added in a later version, like more control over the refineries, like, I don't know, I mean, there's not a whole lot to do with refineries, really, though. Oops, I'm getting my controls mixed up here. Like, we can see whether they're on or off, we can turn them on and off, and then we can show all of them just to display them. So, I really don't know that there's much left to do with refineries. Let's see. Power. We have our power status, which works pretty accurately, or relatively accurately anyway. Solar status works fine. Uranium status works fine. Jump drive I don't think was refined properly. No. I think that was still... I think the jump drive one was basically a placeholder, and I don't think I ever really fully implemented that. Full power. There's one thing I want to get rid of, and that's this block, because for those of you that may not be aware, this actually ended up turning into a large ship instead of a station. I'm pretty sure we covered that already, and I also don't recall how that happened. I think I damaged something and it turned it into a station. I don't know. I don't remember what happened. But I ended up putting all the thrusters and everything on it, but that artificial mass block would kind of screw everything up. Now, if I hit full power works, I think. Or maybe it did and it doesn't now. Minimum power is the one that I can't get. These two we need to fix. So these three, jump drive, full power, minimal power, we need to fix. Oxygen works. Okay, so oxygen farm controls work. Oxygen generator works, but we have to change the starting index. And I believe it's the same thing with the oxygen tank. So, oops, didn't mean to do that. So oxygen tank and generator and farm, we need to adjust the starting index so that no matter what, you can scroll without ending up doing what we're doing here, where we're below the threshold. And oxygen status, we need to fix the scrolling. So this is kind of a bug fixing episode, basically. Once that's done, I'm thinking I'm ready to roll it over into like version 1. And then we can actually work on refining the inventory summary screens, because this is ugly. I mean, I'm aware of it. That's ugly. It doesn't look good. Really, it's the line designation. It's not so much how they're formatted and stuff. It's really just the lines. The lines look weird. Same thing with the total inventory. Well, total's not too bad. So yeah. So that's what we need to do. That's what we need to fix. So I'm going to tab over to our Visual Studio's environment, and we will go from there. Alrighty, so we're back over here in our Visual Studios window here. And the first thing I want to take care of is kind of the easier one. So we need to fix, it should be an update selection, I think. We need to fix the, well, first of all, we need to change some of these comments too. We need to change the starting index for some of this stuff. Okay. for now. So power, no, it was oxygen actually, wasn't it? Yeah, under the farm control stuff. So we can see here that this stuff is set to scroll. That's all actually that's all inventory. That's the wrong panel. Where's my oxygen stiffs? Jump drive status. I feel like that might not have been fully implemented. That's why it's kind of screwing up. I'm not sure on that though. Full power. Full power, we might need to change a little bit of this here and there because this isn't actually set up to, looks like, call anything per se. I don't know. Okay, O2 status. The scrolling isn't working. Oh, I remember. The O2 status, we didn't have the number of lines set up. So total number of lines equals 0. Current line equals 0. Oh, if input back, then total number of lines equals 0. Okay, so what we need to do is set up that when we enter this state, we declare what total number of lines is equal to, which I believe is a global variable up here. Yes, it is. So that's part of the problem. The O2 controls here should be where we can fix this. Select a menu item equals 1. Oh, there's part of the problem here is when we enter this state, the oxygen submenu, this should be 0. This one will be 1, this will be 2, and this will be 3. So the problem there is... oh wait, I just realized this is set to 1. Current menu. If we wanted it to go to oxygen, it should be, because we have inventory, refinery, power, oxygen, so this should be 3 if we want it to go back to the main oxygen menu. That's a big if. Oh, wait, no, wrong one. Gotta make sure we're doing this in the right spot. 3, 3, okay, cool. So I think this is fixable with a simple selected menu item equals 0 call. Because we're using selected menu item to determine which one we're selecting now that we're in this state. So it should be a simple enough task basically to just reset that in essence. And that way when we log into those menus, we'll start at the top of the list and it'll use the count index to scroll through it. And I didn't ever do anything with vent controls. We could probably implement that in this episode as well. Okay, so the only ones that I'm not sure about... Status wasn't scrolling because of number of lines, that makes sense. But we don't deal with that here. So I'm going to add 2 comments here. Or maybe, yeah, like here. And say... Actually, well, yeah, may need changing. Because what I'm thinking here is at the moment it's set to display nothing. That's what it's set to display basically. And let's just do some lines so that it'll be easier to see later when we come back to this. What I'm thinking is this is set up, I copied and pasted it to scroll, but there's really nothing set up to display under the right menu method. Like when we go under here under right display, there's nothing really set up for Which one was it? Full power and minimal power. It's just calling those functions. There's nothing really written on the screen. So the only thing with this that we have to look at, oh, I know what we could do. We don't need it to do it in write display. We can do this in the actual methods. That would work. Yeah, this is still set up as a test. Max power, minimum power, and max power seemed to work. Minimum power, on the other hand, did not, and I'm guessing. I'm not positive, and it's why I'm going to copy this and then comment it out, and we're going to paste it back in right here. The reason I'm doing that is I want to keep a copy of this in case I want to go back to it, but I have a theory that because of the way the in-game programmable block is set up, these line breaks may be confusing it to where it doesn't know what it's supposed to be doing. That's my theory anyway. So what I'm actually going to do is take all of this out, even though it's a pain in the butt, because it really doesn't, it makes it very difficult to read. And while normal Visual Studios would be able to work with it, I have a feeling that that's what's causing part of the script not to run right when it comes to the minimal power. Just a theory, I could be wrong. But at the moment, because everything else looks to be kind of sound, at least it does to me. That you're looping through anything that's not one of these blocks, and you get their actions. The only thing I can also think of is by the end of this segment, we may want to clear the actions list. That way we're really making sure that we're only populating the list with those actions, just to be on the safe side. I'm not sure if that's entirely necessary or not. But I mean, the logic is sound to me still. I don't see anything wrong with it, that you loop through all the block definitions and find if it's not this, not this, not this, not that, you know. I am going to remove, I think, cockpit. Maybe not. Maybe not, because I'm thinking cockpit is actually wrong. I think it's like flight seat or something. But even if it is, it would still come back negative, and I don't think you can turn those on and off anyway, so I'll just leave it for now. I don't think it'll cause a problem. So for now, that's really all the changes I wanted to make for minimum power. Oh, what we can do, this is the other thing that I wanted to do, is let's we'll do it up here, I think. This is more for debugging. I don't know if it'll stay here or not. Right. No, I don't know why it wants to default to private text. Public text. What was it? 1, 2, 3. And you don't have to do the plus thing. I just make it easier to see that that's a blank space separation. Actually, I'm not going to now. Think about it. We'll say block power statuses. I think that's right. I don't know if that's proper or not. We'll do 2 new line characters. Say true. And now from here, what I want to do is loop through the blocks. Actually, what we're going to do is I'm going to loop through the blocks, and basically what I'm going to do is write them out onto the screen. So I'm going to say main write public text 1, 2, 3 plus blocks at I custom name to string, and let's see, what do we need? We'll do a colon, and from here we'll do one of those man, I forgot how to do it now. I looked it up the last time. It's the inline if sequences. It should be in here somewhere. Here we go. Question mark and then 2. Okay. So blocks at I is working. Question mark on colon off. And then let's add a new line character to that, and we'll append it. So, oops. What that'll end up doing is it will write to the screen when we call minimum power. It'll say block power statuses, and then it will basically loop through all the blocks and list whether or not they're on or off. This will kind of tell us whether or not the script is actually working or not. The other thing that I want to do, so we're making a couple of lines there. One thing that I keep forgetting to do when it comes to these scrollable windows is set up the number of blocks, or number of lines, sorry. So total number of lines equals blocks.count for int I equals current line. I is less than block items.count. Main display write public to string true. Block items. Oh, that's listing the items. Okay. Okay. I'm honestly looking through this because I don't remember how I set up the scrolling system, to be quite honest. Well, okay. Block items is the total list, so that was going to have all of the... Oh no, block items was just a string list. Ah, okay, that's what was confusing me. Okay, so we compiled a list of strings and set it up as we were writing it. Okay, that makes more sense. The block items thing was confusing me. Okay, so what I need to do is, instead of writing directly to the screen, I need to do something similar to that. So let's do list string, and we'll call this, instead of block items, that's kind of confusing, we'll call this display text. New list string, and then we'll say display text, oops, dot add, right? I think that'll work. Actually, I've got too many parentheses there. Okay, so that works. And now we'll copy that line and we'll put it in here. Now, the one thing we have to remember is that the true comma argument comes from display text, not write public display from the menu screen, not just a string. So we have to remove that. Now from here we can do kind of what we did before, where total number of lines equals display text dot count. And we can say for int I equals current line, I is less than total number lines. Did we increment current lines or did we increment I? Where's inventory? We incremented I. Oh, wait a minute. Nope. Where'd it go? There it is. Current lines, block items.count. Oh, total number lines was supposed to be for the upper screen. We can kind of do it either way, I suppose. I don't know that it really matters that much. And how did we get around? Oh, because each line is going to have a new line character in it. Okay. Okay. That works. We can do total number of lines. That should be the same thing, because we just instantiated it to the same value, so... And then I++, and we'll do main right public, and then display text at I, true. And that should allow us to write out to the screen while maintaining the ability to scroll, I believe. And it would be unnecessary to do a toString there since it's a list of strings. So that should give us the functionality to scroll as well as listing what is on and off so that we can see whether or not the script is working. So that should be good. We're going to try and do the same thing up here, I think. And we'll say display text equals new list string. Okay, and let's see. We don't need the actions. We actually need this to be outside the loop. So first thing is display add 1, 2, 3, and we'll say block. What do we say down here? Power status? Power statuses. We'll say block power status. That sounds better. Oh, that could be a problem. That could be a problem. I'm trying to keep each line in play with the script. I did do ones with 2 lines. Huh. Because see, here's the only problem. Like when we're only adding 1 string here, and the string has 2 line breaks, that means it's going to cover this line down here. We're not getting a pinpoint accurate. I mean, it's good enough. We're skipping by 4 lines anyway, usually. So for 1 to have that isn't a big deal. But over time, that really wouldn't be good. If we wanted to make sure we were really pinpoint accurate, we would separate this and do display dot add again and add that in as its own line. If we really wanted to make sure it was pinpoint accurate, that's how we would do it. And I think I'm just going to do that here since I already did it. It's a little bit like overkill for what we're doing here, but it is, I would consider it a more proper way of doing things. Okay, so we have our status bar up there. So now within the loop, but outside the if clauses, we need to do display text, add 1, 2, 3 blocks at I, custom name dot toString, just to be safe, but it probably is already a string. And add that is working on or off. Close that, and then add a new line. That should be pretty much what we did before down here. Yep. Okay. Then when we break out of the loop, all we have to do is set total to display text.count and do a for loop where it's current line less than total and incremented. And let's see, we'll do the right line. I true. Alright, so that should take care of both displaying what's going on with minimum and maximum power and whether or not they're working properly. If they're not working properly, then we'll have to kind of reconfigure how all that goes. Now, what was wrong with this? Because this didn't show up before. Oh, it was the jump drive. Okay. So what I want to do is say... they changed... Oh, wait, no, I've got the... Wait, no, that's because it's get block with name. Okay, so let's try a different one. Let's try jump drive. Jump drive equals grid terminal system get blocks. This returns a list. Get blocks of type. Get type. So the weird part here is it doesn't seem like you can get to the blocks without... Oh, but we have a blocks function now. Okay, so I don't need the grid terminal system. I can just access blocks. But this is just a list of terminal blocks. Ugh. Okay. Well, I guess we would have to loop through anyway. So let's do, just for mostly for reusability's sake, new list. Actually, we should put this up here because there's no reason to call it more than one time when you're just going to be accessing the same blocks. Okay, and let's add a new function or method. I always get that mixed up. Set up jump drives. Because it really doesn't make any sense to call it every time you're going to run through and repopulate a list. That's just like inefficient. Though I must admit, truth be told, I should probably be doing most of these as one function, but that'll come with future iterations of the... Oh, I never declared a variable. I was like, why is the IntelliSense freaking out over here? See, like this, for those of you that may not already be aware, I'm doing the same loop here as I'm doing here, so technically these could all be the same blocks. I could just have a different if statement that says, if the block definition contains refinery, add it to the refinery list. Else, if it contains jump drive, add it to the jump drive list. And you could do it all in one setup blocks function, basically. So that's something that I'll end up looking into in future versions of the script, so it's a little bit more efficient. But for now, we'll just do it the way we've been doing it. But just so you guys are aware that this is not really the most efficient way to do it. I forget. I'm going to put jump in there just because I don't remember what the full block definition is. And jump drives dot add blocks at I. Oh, as jump drive. There we go. And now under startup, I will need to add that in too. There we go. Okay, so now that's all fine and dandy. So we have our jump drives. Now what we would do here is basically do a loop. Equals 0, I is less than jump drives dot count I plus plus. And we would be able to loop through and go do whatever we wanted with it. In this case, this setup really doesn't work. What we'll do for now, since I only have one jump drive, is we will change this to jump drives at I. And essentially it's still going to be listing all the stuff. And we'll change this to I2. And this can be I2. And there we go. The reason I'm doing it that way is, and actually this should be up here. We'll get rid of this line. And in here what we'll do is say actions.clear. That way we're not reinstantiating a new list every time, because that's just a memory leak waiting to happen. So yeah, all that should be good. So at the moment all it's going to be doing is listing the custom name, showing the detailed info panel, showing you the actions. That's really all it is, because I'm still getting used to the jump drive, what all you can and can't do with it, and what you can and can't adjust. After we get that information going, we can rewrite this method and figure out exactly what we want to do with it. So I'm going to leave that uncollapsed at the moment, so that we know we're not completely done with that at the moment. What was the other one? There was one other thing. It was minimum maximum power, which we fixed. Well, we fixed enough to know what it's doing. I won't say it's done. Let's see. We should have fixed our O2 controls, and oh, that was the other thing. On our O2 status menu, we need to set up a way to identify the lines so that scrolling will be possible. Okay, so display text. So what I'm going to do is at the end here we'll do total numLines equals display text.count for int I equals current line, I is less than total I increment, main right display at I, and true. Okay, so that should handle all that. Now all we need to do is reconfigure this to be .add, and then we'll just go through and get rid of that. Same thing here, just because I'm kind of OCD about this kind of stuff. Not that if you didn't want to do it this way, it wouldn't really break it, because most of the time the only times we're getting these double lines is on title cards or new lines or whatever. It just kind of bugs me. I don't like feeling like it's not properly set up. And like this, oh, this we've got a couple things we've got to fix here. But that'll be okay, because at the moment we're going to get a bunch of red lines that'll tell us where we need to fix things. But this way, our scrolling system should be re-enabled for this method, or this submenu. Okay, everything else looks fine. So there's only... Let's go ahead and just clean out the ones that have one new line character, and we'll deal with the other ones when we cross that bridge. That way they're the only ones we have left to work with. Okay. So that all should be fixed. Now we get the fun ones, which is this. We're going to add, close, paste, add that. We'll close that. And get rid of this. Oh. Poo. Okay. I gotta do that again. Okay. So in case that was confusing at all, we're separating the lines out so the count here at the end is accurate to how many lines we actually have, not... because this is actually 4 lines. 5. You got 1, 2, then this line, 3, 4. So I guess it is 4. Maybe 5. I'm not sure. Anyways, it's a lot more than... It's a lot more than 1. Let's put it that way. I'm leaving this because we're separating, we're basically doing our own, what's the word? There's a word for what you're separating by. I think it's delimiter, or delineator. I forget which one it is. It's something. One's math, one's string manipulation. But we're basically going by anytime we see a new line character, we only want one new line character in each add line, basically. Like this. We have all this stuff, but we only have one new line character at the end. And that way, when we get done, we have the correct total number of lines. So when we have 4 of them in one section, we've basically got to break them up. And actually, because this is all pretty much the same thing, I am just going to cut and paste this in. And we'll just change farm to tanks. And, oh, vents. We got to implement the vent one, too. And vents. And we can probably get rid of that, because I wasn't using it before, so that's fine. This will actually allow us to scroll, or it should anyway, in theory. This should have fixed everything to where now we'll be able to scroll through our oxygen status windows. So, what was the other one? Vents. Vents I don't think I ever implemented, or I didn't do it properly because it didn't even show up on the menu. Oh, I do have vent controls here. Why was that not there? That's weird. Oh, one other thing that I want to do is under vent controls. Let me see. Why is there no vent? Because I don't feel like vent was displayed. Where's setup O2? That's blocks. We have vents there. Oxygen menu. Aha! There is no vents. That could be why. Add oxygen vent controls. There we go. That should fix that. Now, we will need to set up another system under update selection, which it should be the last, because oxygen was like, oh no, I have it already set up. That's cool. Now. The one part where I'm not too sure about what to do here is all we have is on and off. I would like to do pressurize and depressurize at some point, but I think for today in this episode I'm not going to get into that. This was more of a bug fixing and rounding off what we have, as opposed to adding in more functionality. So vents is already set up there. So yeah, I think everything should be good to go. We should be able to jump over and try this out and see how it works. Jump drive is the only one we might come back to and see if we can fix a bit. Okay, so we're back over here, and I've taken the liberty of pasting in our new code into the programmable block so we can test that out. Side note, I would also like to point out, some of you may have noticed in the bottom right corner there was a XSplit watermark. Why? I have no idea. I've had an account with them for like a year or more, and I've had it set up for auto renewal, and when you have a personal or higher account, it's not supposed to watermark it. So I don't know what that was, because all I did was in between the last pause, I closed it out, rebooted it. Now it's fine. So yeah, sorry if that annoyed anyone, because I don't like them, but it just kind of showed up and I didn't even know it was supposed to be there. So first things first, let's check our oxygen page, which we have vent controls now for. Wait, do I have vents? I do have vents. So why aren't they showing up? Are they on? It wouldn't matter if they're on. They should be showing up. Well now, this is intriguing. Let me check my little definition page over here. They come up as air vent. What do I have the criteria set up for it to look for? Wait. Oh, set up O2, here we go. Let's just go with vent. Well, let's go with vent and see what happens. Because either it's not displaying properly, or it's not catching the vents properly. Okay, so it's not displaying properly. Alright, well that's interesting. Where'd they go? There you are. We'll change this back to air. So that makes me question the other stuff. So let's check. Okay, so we can scroll now, which is awesome, on our oxygen generator stuff. We have generator status, generator 2 status on. This displays the output and the status. All well and good. If I go to tank, we're still starting. Ooh, that's weird. Something screwed up there. And there. So our fix for the scrolling did not work. Yeah, that didn't work at all. So that's something we still have to fix. And it seems like it's skipping 2 at a time now. Also odd. So status works though. Jump drive. I didn't implement a scrolling system to the jump drive. Okay, that's fine. So we have max required input, max stored power, current input, stored power, fully recharged in, and max jump distance. Now, what I want to check is, since we can't scroll, I'll have to do it manually. Here's the different actions, which is also what I wanted to know, so that we can format our screen more properly, I guess you would say. So we have on, off, which is toggle, on, off, separate. Recharge toggle, recharge on and off, increase and decrease jump distance, and then this is the block definition. So we could implement a control system to where you can increase and decrease the jump distance, recharge, blah blah blah, or we could just have something that displays the information. That's more up to you guys as to what you think would be a better alternative. So if I hit minimal power, it's not displaying anything, so I don't understand. It's something in our code with the... Okay, now this is working. Okay, so this is good. Block power status, test assembler. It lists basically all the blocks that are on, essentially, which is good. So, my question is, why doesn't minimal power do that? When full power will do that. And it's also jumping up every time I exit out up to uranium status, which is also very strange. So there's some wonky stuff going on here that we need to try and fix. Okay, so we're back over here in Visual Studios, and I gotta be honest, I don't really know where some of this is happening from. For example, maximum power works. We go through, we add the blocks, do all that, all this works. We did the same thing down here, except it doesn't work. So I'm a little bit perplexed on why. We declared this outside of a string. If nothing else, this should work. We really didn't do anything different up here. That's what's confusing me, is that there's no real change to the system because we wrote this first. So I don't really know why the one's not displaying and the other one is. Because we're just under the block count. This is the if statement. So it should have nothing to do with whether or not the if statement works. It should just be working. Display, add. Yeah, this literally is making no sense to me at all. Main display, write public text. Unless there's something in the write display that's not calling the proper function. I hadn't thought of that before. Minimum power. Okay, now let's check the case to see if we're getting the proper case. Also something that could be a problem. Power menu. Power submenu. Minimal power instead of minimum. That's the problem. Okay, so that's done. Good. When we back out, selected menu item is... Oh, if input back, current power. Okay, so that's part of what was going on there. We just need to set this to no, we should just set all these to default, because what I just realized is these aren't going back to the main menus of, like, the main menu, where oxygen would be the third selected item. This is going back to where you're seeing generated controls, farm controls, all that crap, and with that in mind, that's not going to work. So we just need all of these submenus to go back to a default value. I think I figured it out here at Refinery first. Okay, so that's all the submenus taken care of. Now, like for this one, you can see this is the oxygen, so if we hit a button here, this is where it's going to take the selected menu item, which is probably what's screwing up the other thing. I'm not sure yet. And then if we hit back, it'll go back to main, and in that case we do want it to be on the third, which would highlight oxygen. So that was the problem there. I had it mixed up. Okay, so I don't know whether or not minimum power will work or not, but it will now, it should anyway display properly. Now, oxygen status worked, farm controls did not. This got all wonky. Oh, I'm an idiot. It's because this is always defaulting. Yeah. So this is not the right place to put this. In case you're not figuring out what that is, switch input is up. So if up, then selected menu item is compared to greater than 0 or less than 0 or whatever, to know what selected item to move along. Every time we're opening this menu, though, it's going to 0. And so every time it loops through, before we're calculating input and then comparing it, we're resetting it to 0, and that's not going to work. That's bad. So what we need to do is remove all of that, and the idea isn't bad. We need to put it in a different place. So that place should be, if my theory is correct, it should be up here where we're entering into a menu, because now we're switching selected menu item. But once that happens, we should reset selected menu item to 0 here. Then this will not be called until you're back up to this menu. So the more time you spend in O2 status, selected menu item won't be reset. That's my theory anyway. We'll have to see if this works. Actually, this doesn't need it because that's just a scrollable menu. This won't. And jump drive status, we need to set up a... Well, we don't really need to set up a scroll. We know what it's doing now. Uranium status... I don't think any of those were selectable statuses. I don't think. Refinery... Disable refinery. Enable will set that to a 0 as well. Okay. So that should be good. Jump drive we won't mess with too much. Wait a minute, what is this? Oh, that's maximum power. That's not... Yeah. So... Alright, so we got that figured out. So jump drive, we don't need the block definition anymore. That's null. We know what that is now. We know what the actions are. It's like toggling them on and off. I'm not going to mess with this at the moment. Let me know what you guys think about this as far as whether or not you'd want to be able to extend the distance, turn it on, you know, all that kind of stuff. And whether or not it actually makes sense to have more than one jump drive. Because if it's one of those where it doesn't increase the speed or distance to have more than one jump drive, then we might reconfigure this, because you're probably only going to have one then in that case. So let me tab back over to Space Engineers and we will wrap this episode up. Okay, so we're back over here now running our new script, so let's see if this works. We'll check out oxygen status first. We can still scroll, which works out well. And as you can see here, now we're starting up here on the 0, but we can still move around freely. Same thing here. Same thing here. So perfect. So we fixed our... Oh, vents still aren't coming up. Okay, something's screwy with that. Something is not working here. Vents. Did I just copy and paste and maybe didn't fix the vents, perhaps? O2 vents.count. Where's right menu? Maybe I didn't write it into the menu. Vents, custom 2-string. Nope, all that's there. Main display, right? O2 vents. Well, let's check the list. Maybe O2 vents. And it's in the O2 blocks. This is very strange, because it should be writing something. Blocks at I, else if blocks definition .toString contains air vent, which it does, O2 vents.add blocks as, yeah. All that should be accurate. Let's double check that just to make sure. Over here, air vent. Right. So I'm a little confused now as to why that won't work, because it looks like, from what I can tell, everything is in place to set that up. We have iMyAirVent. We've got no errors, I don't think. Let's try that. Let's run this. And now check Programmable block. I'm not getting any errors, so it's just not displaying properly. And I don't really understand why. That's all the status things. Where's update displays right menu? Okay, if O2 vents.count. See, like, all this is the same. We basically cut and pasted it. If I is equal to selected menu item, O2 vents at I, custom name is working. Yeah, I don't really understand why this won't display. Because it's not even throwing any, like, it's not populated type of errors either. It's just not showing up at all. O2 vent controls. Tank. Hold on. That might be the problem. O2 vent controls. O2 tank controls. Let me check right here. Where's right display? Are we in right display? No. There we go. O2 vent controls. Wait, what was vents? Ah! Ha ha ha. One little letter throws the whole thing out of whack. Oops. Need to run that. Bingo! There we go. That's better. And now we can turn the vents on and off at the moment. Eventually we could probably add some kind of depressurize system. Tanks, we could probably add some kind of what is it, stockpile mode, etc., etc. But all that functions perfectly now. Awesome. Okay, under power status, we got full power, and we can see what we're doing. Moment of truth, let's check minimal power. It's still not displaying. And it's hanging the whole thing up. Alright. This is beginning to bug me, because it should be working now. I changed the case to pull minimum power instead of minimal, so it should be functioning properly. Minimum power. We're set up to scroll. All that's fine. It's kind of irrelevant because this is what's working, is down here. Okay, power, minimum power. That's right. Minimum power is the function name. We get down here. Solar status, uranium. Maximum power. Minimum power. Alright. I wonder if it's something with this comment or something, because there's only this script, or this method, that has like a bunch of comments in it. That might be screwing things up, I guess. I don't really see why it would, but... Alright, so we've got display string instantiated. Add. Actions. If it's not block definition, blah blah blah. Blocks get actions. If it contains on or off, turn it off. Clear actions list, add that to the list. Display equals text.count. Yeah, so all that should be fine. I don't understand why this isn't running right. Let's try that and see if maybe all those comments were screwing it up. No? Okay, I'm completely at a loss then. If you guys know what's wrong with that, I've shown the code enough times. If you can see what's wrong with that, let me know, because I've stared at this for an hour now, and I really have no idea why they'll... It would make more sense if minimal power didn't work, or maximum power, but maximum power works. If I go here and I go full power, it works. So that's what's confusing me, is it's not both of them aren't working, it's one of them isn't working. And that makes no sense to me. I think it's getting hung up because I can't even back out either. That, actually, hold on. The fact that I can't back out speaks to this segment in here. Current... Ah! Got you. Minimum. So it was in the main power menu, I forgot to change that. See, when you get into bigger scripts like this, it can get kind of... Aha! Beautiful. Alright, now, let's check this. Assembler, refinery, off. Gyroscope, gravity generator... Gyroscope's left on, gravity generator's off. Large cargo container is on. I don't know that we'd really need on. Wait, how is that even a thing? If we turn off that cargo, show block in terminal, show block. Oh, okay. So it's probably picking up one of those. I don't know why that's coming up as cargo container is on. That's weird. Anyways, thruster on, control station. Wait a minute, I just realized something. Oh, never mind. I saw this and I was thinking that I hadn't renamed them and it had that in there somewhere. Control station on, cargo container on, medical room, reactors all left on, lights are off, antennas are off, batteries are on, connectors are off, display is left on, programmable block left on. Now the timer block should have stayed on, because I'll need that to... Oh, no, I don't. I left that off because we're not using it at the moment to update anything. It's all push button. Test panel is on. Gyroscope's on. Thrusters on. Detailed programmable block is on. Jump drive is off. Detailed info is on. Requirements display is on. Flight seat is on. Solar panels. Oxygen farm. Cryo chamber. Air vent. Oxygen tanks and generators and farms are all on, air vents and refinery are off. Sweet! So basically, let me know if there's anything that you guys see in terms of things that, other than the jump drive status, that I need to change. But let me know if there's anything that you think should stay off if you went minimal power. And we can add that in, because obviously it's very easy to add that in now. We can just... Now the other thing is I'll have to test the readability of adding that other if statement back in and see if that works. I might do that through Visual Studios. So it's not perfect, and there's still a lot of things we can add to the script, but it's actually functioning now. Like, we're pretty good to go. And now it turns everything back on. Sweet! Alright, well, then I have one last thing I want to do, and that's under the right menu display. If I can find it. And we're going to say, welcome to Sleepless OS version 1.0. Oops. I guess it would help if I told it to run, huh? What? 1.0 is here! Sweet. Sweet. Alright. Well, we are going to wrap this episode up here for today, I believe. In the meantime, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and your comments and suggestions, and I will see you all next time. Peace!